Welcome in. I am the Crypto Bull God, and this is All in the Charts. If you appreciate the content, make sure to hit the thumbs up button, drop me a comment, and click that bell icon for all notifications to know when I go live each and every single weekday. Just a reminder as we start things off here, of course, this will be the last live stream entering the weekend, but we're coming out of the weekend fresh and strong with an honest view on a lot of charts. So I'll try to come up with that clever thumbnail, but this is arguably the most important daily candle close on Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time of all year, and perhaps even within the past full year. The reason is because we're going to get a daily close, we're going to get a weekly close, a 2-week, a monthly, a 2-month, and a 3-month, and we're at a very interesting pivotal point in the market right now in terms of what we may anticipate over the short to intermediate time frame. You know, you have individuals' views, whom I respect, coming out and saying they feel confident things are going to, have a blow off top within the early fourth quarter. You have people saying, who I respect, saying this will likely bleed over into 2025. Of course, if you're a part of this community and you respect my viewpoints, you recognize that I'm a lot less concerned on timing, and I've tried to de-emphasize that, versus having some objective empirical data points that we're going to base those sell strategies off of. And so that's what I'm most interested in. But it's going to be interesting nonetheless to see how June closes out, what sort of view it gives us, and what we can formulate from that in terms of thoughts surrounding the relative weakness or strength of Bitcoin going into the second half of this year. So it should be a good one. Make sure to check that out on Sunday Eastern. Click that bell icon. I don't know exactly to get notified when I go live. I don't know the exact time of when I'm going to go live. Things close out at 8 p.m. Eastern. CBG also is an early bird, doesn't stay up late, gets up pretty early. Feeling it today. I got up a little extra early, so I'm going to be heading to bed a little early tonight. But yeah, I should be going live somewhere around 7:30, 7:45. So make sure to stay tuned for that. Juan, good to see you in the live stream. Let's pump that motherfucker up. Let's fucking go. Todd, super chats are never expected, but always appreciated. Maybe one of these days I'm just going to see super chat. When we enter the true bull cycle, I'm just going to be seeing super chats entering, and I'm just going to have to keep bowing and bowing. But either way, in all seriousness, never expected, but always appreciated. Well, nothing's changed for me, Juan. I don't think there's a high possibility, in my opinion, we're going to see 52. Nothing's changed. Is there a possibility we see 52? Yes. Do I think there's a high possibility that we see 52? No, I don't think there's a high possibility, but I certainly think it's possible. All right, guys, let's kind of get into the charts. So, actually, before we kick things off here, I did want to kind of lead off with something I had tweeted out earlier today. So, I don't want to spend too much time on this. But I had tweeted something out earlier today. Some of the commentary that I'm going to provide on this kind of touches on things that we've already recently spoke about. So I sort of feel like I'm beating a dead horse. But interestingly enough, there was someone in particular who commented on this post who I respect, quite honestly. As you know, I have not been shy in terms of my bearish view on Casper. You can kind of paint this a few different ways. You can paint a horizontal line going this way. You can paint the nice uptrending line, which we were respecting with the bullish divergence on the RSI. This is when I was increasing my position. Once we began to show weakness and we started breaking below this line, that's when I started to say, hey, CBG, I think you may have made a bad decision. Casper's been an underperformer. There's clear winners that you're invested in, and you could take some of those assets and cut some of your losses and stick it there. It's been a good decision so far. What we have to understand, and I'll tell you the argument that's being made here. So I've spoken ad nauseum about this chart. I could tell based on, it's hard to read posts, but based on the response here from Nick, I honestly thought, the way I take this, he seems a little perturbed. I think he seems a little annoyed by my post, which is fine. But I very, very matter of fact responded and said, I'm not an expert on Wyckoff distributions, and whether or not this follows something similar to Cardano and its Wyckoff distribution, if that's your predominant view, go for it. What I don't like to do is I don't like to comment on patterns that I'm really, quite honestly, not familiar with. As you know, when I've spoken about Elliott waves, which I have studied and I am familiar with, I've always pointed out I'm a novice Elliott wave technician. I'm not trained, I'm not certified as an Elliott wave technician, but I would consider myself a novice, and I know the basics, right? With Wyckoff, I really haven't studied it. So you've noticed that I've really never spoken a lot to Wyckoff distributions, right? The main thing I would share with Nick here is that, and what I appreciate with the back and forth with him is I think it's very healthy in this space and any space when you can respectfully disagree. Agree to disagree. We're evaluating things differently. I see it differently at the end of the day. I respect you, you respect me, we just have a different opinion, right? That's why I watch the PBD podcast, why I appreciate the PBD podcast. Even if that guy's views differ from somebody that he has on the podcast, they have a respectful debate, right? So for me, it's quite simple. You're calling this a Wyckoff distribution, right? Accumulation pattern. Okay. If this was in an uptrend, okay, unfortunately for Casper holders, this is the Casper chart. If we were seeing general higher lows and higher highs coming in, okay, on a chart, and it was demonstrating a Wyckoff distribution with bullish chart patterns historically, right? Meaning, let me paint this to you differently. If the argument was we respected this line and price continued churning out the higher highs and higher lows and we were up here, let's say, and then we were demonstrating some sort of a Wyckoff, that's a different conversation. We've already established that we've invalidated the downtrend, right? We haven't invalidated the downtrend. We have literally printed lower highs and lower lows. You have lost money in this asset no matter where you have purchased it. Other assets continue to outperform this. And I can't stress this enough. Yes, at some point, more than likely, this will pump with the rest of the market. But at what price level and how high based on how fucking bearish this looks? Okay? Maybe we've bottomed. I'm certainly not going to entertain that idea given that there is no fucking price structure to the left. How am I to feel confident in a chart? Guys, ladies and gentlemen, this live stream is called All in the Charts. How am I supposed to feel confident in a chart when we've literally done nothing but created lower lows and lower highs? And there's no end in sight here. There's no price structure here. This is in free fall. This could stop here. It could keep bleeding to a penny and then do a 10 to 20x and be up to 10 or 20 cents, right? All the meanwhile, you've had other assets appreciate in value. So as much as I respect Nick and I respect his views, I'm going to have to politely disagree and say if the only thing you're holding out hope for is a Wyckoff distribution, and for the love of God, comparing anything to Cardano is quite a bold statement given the run that Cardano had, okay? Until this thing has a trend reversal to the upside, I am monumentally bearish on this chart. Same commentary for Flare. If you guys have been here for a while, remember I was having fun with the community talking about, I wouldn't even say having fun with the community, kind of having fun with the chart and saying it looked like a garbage. I mean, I'm invested in this thing, right? So I have a vested interest in it. But it looked horrific. Nothing but a downtrend. The downtrend ended and we began to create higher highs and higher lows. We sort of had a V-shaped recovery. Okay, my perspective has changed, right? Because I'm allowing the chart to guide my decision process, right? All I'm doing is interpreting the data. Nothing has changed here. Bullish. It's been all fucking bearish. So I don't understand why you would want to stay in this thing. Keep in mind, you could compare this chart, okay? Just to drive the point home further. This has been bleeding against Bitcoin non-stop. You could compare this to a chart of Bitcoin Cash. Tell me what Bitcoin Cash has done in the past couple years. That's just being honest. So there is nothing bullish in this chart, and I'll end it here. What I appreciate is healthy, educated viewpoints in terms of why one's view differs, right? What I don't appreciate, and quite frankly, I just don't have time for, is where's Kevin Cage? Oh God, Kevin Cage. Oh Jesus Christ! Does anybody here know Kevin Cage? Oh God. I found Kevin Cage when I was like a year into this market, and I listened to some of his videos, and then I was like, I can't stand this guy. This is Kevin Cage. Here. So this kind of response is just, it's sad. I don't understand. I don't understand this post. But I just tried to have a healthy conversation here, and as you can see, and we'll leave it off here because we've spent too much time on this already. This is the distinction between myself and many other people in this space. You have to understand how I assess a project. Listen to this person's response, which I was surprised that Nick disclosed this, but apparently Casper is his #1 holding from an investment dollar amount. Which, I mean, if you think about that, that means that his investment, no matter where he bought it, it has deappreciated in value. It has deappreciated in value, and it's his #1 holding investment amongst all of his other investments, which should have appreciated at this point, which is crazy to me. So he must have a significant amount, which I mean, if he has a significant amount, I can understand why he may have been a little emotional or upset about my post here, but it is what it is. I mean, we're just going to have to agree to disagree. But this person here said, it'll happen. And I said, what exactly do you think will happen? Read his response. AI hype, better sentiment. I'm not sure how you're going to get better sentiment with a project that's deappreciated in value since its ICO inception. Rollouts and disclosures of adoption and use cases. Non-disclosure agreements becoming public knowledge, etc. So here's the thing, and this is why his analysis, he or she's analysis, is going to differ from mine. And I clearly lay this out. In this case, we're not going to see eye to eye because how we fundamentally assess a product differs. You are basing your analysis on loosely defined fundamentals, and I do mean loosely defined fundamentals, and hope. For example, better sentiment. That's hope. I primarily base my analysis on technicals, and if the fundamentals are strong, I increase my position size, e.g., Caspa. The charts really do the work for me. There is no subjectivity. It's completely objective. Guys, I just came out here the other day, and did I not give you an honest assessment of the holy crypto trinity? I've spoken about those projects plenty of times in years past, right? In fact, I came up with this little clever, slogan or unit name for all three of them, for Harmony and Hedera, and for decentralized mana. Did I not come out and share with you that I'm not super bullish on any of the three charts? I don't think any of them look particularly strong at all whatsoever. In fact, one of the three I think I might have commented was pretty abysmal. That's me being honest with you. Just because I own something and it's not doing as well as I had anticipated, I'm not going to sit here and feed you a narrative because I feel as if I belong to a community and I want to state what I feel they need to hear so they like me. I'm here to be honest with you. If a chart looks like shit, it looks like shit. To reiterate, if you're going to tell me this is a Wyckoff distribution or accumulation, whatever, Wyckoff accumulation, I would feel a lot more comfortable with that statement if we had an uptrend. We have had nothing but a downtrend, and now I feel like we're simply holding out hope that this is a Wyckoff accumulation and it's going to do something similar to Cardano, which I just completely disagree with. Until the chart turns around, the chart starts doing this, okay, and we build in the higher lows and the higher highs, well, then I'm on board, right? And I'm not necessarily waiting for the price targets I have shown. The whole point is just exercising logic. All right, I've spent enough time on this. The chart is what it is. It's a pile of shit. Until it shows me something, it's been a pile of shit. I own assets in my portfolio, including, thankfully, a small amount of Casper that I cut my losses, like I said, several months back. But there are assets in my portfolio that have underwhelmed my expectations. Digibyte. Love the Digibyte community. They've been good to me. I've been good with them. Digibyte has been horrible. Okay? Alethea AI. Holy fuck, guys. We're down at a penny now. I was just looking at the chart the other day thinking to myself, thank God I put a small amount into Alethea AI because this chart is falling apart. So I can admit when I've made bad decisions on investments that have not worked out. Maybe they'll work out in the months to come and they'll appreciate more than I'm expecting. But your views have to evolve with the charts, right? I'm not a prognosticator. I can't tell you with specificity, with certainty what's going to happen. What I do is I rely on the factual, objective data that evolves over time, and I formulate my view based on that. My view may have been something for Digibyte or Casper or Alethea AI last year, and it could be different a year later because guess what, guys? This is going to come as a surprise. We have an additional 12 months of data. So our view changes, right? So just keep these things in mind. I don't know how else to spell this out. I don't know what else to say. Bitcoin 12-hour. I'll get into the comments in a moment. Actually, let me get to the comments now if there's anything relevant. Nice to join you and your community again. James, I haven't seen you in a little bit. What do you think the best charts have been so far? Oh, dear Lord, we just did an entire week of that, my friend. Catch up from last week. Yes, Todd, like I said, healthy disagreement is good. What I can't stand is someone who retweets things with a vomit face on my chart, which is basically attempting to mock my analysis when it's objectively based and it's not me interjecting my emotions. I have the utmost, I'm not talking about Nick, I have the utmost respect for Nick. We're going to have have a healthy disagreement on this one because I do not see what he's seeing. Okay, let's look at the 12-hour. So on the 12-hour for Bitcoin, we know the importance here. We're about to get this death cross. Now, the important thing to keep in mind with this potential death cross on the 12-hour, and we've covered this ad nauseum in the past, in terms of the historical significance, check out what's going on with price, though. Now, clearly, a lot of weakness, right? We got all these lower highs coming in here. Not surprisingly, we're coming right into this area. I said more than likely we'd bounce up, get rejected. It's just are we seeing a dead cat bounce, or are we seeing the true signs of a trend reversal? We know what to look for the true signs of a trend reversal. I don't need to repeat all of that. But the important thing to keep in mind is because there's at least some temporary stabilization within price, what it's allowing to have happen is these moving averages, this is going down. The 200 is sort of trying to level out, but it's not a sharp decline, right? Versus where if prices were just waterfalling down, this would be not a good situation, because then you would have the moving averages really coming down at a incline that would not be healthy to see, right? But it is good because prices have stabilized generally within this region, which has allowed these moving averages to cool off from their downtrend. We want, even if we get a cross, that's not really at the end of the day what's important. What's important is we want these moving averages to be relatively in lockstep, okay? We don't want them to deviate too much from one another, and we want to start pressing up against 64 to 66,000. We want to see Bitcoin press up against 64 to 66,000 sooner rather than later. Certainly would be a timely weekend if we got some strong price action to finish the month out and the week out and the 2 weekly and the 2 month, 3 month, 6 month charts out. That's another one we can look at, the 6 month. So really nothing new to report here. If we kind of come down, we can see I had pointed to this 33 to 30 level on the RSI on the 12-hour. This has historically been an area where prices have been oversold and aggressively rebounded. Now, by aggressively rebounding, I'm not indicating to you necessarily that prices are aggressively rebounding within a day or two. That's not what I'm talking about. There's generally prices have reached their local bottom. There is some stabilization occurring around that general price area, and then a reappreciation in price rather aggressively once it starts to get going. I mean, we can go back in time and kind of see this at different points here. Kind of the past 2 points that we can point to here. This point here, we ran up. This point here, we were down here at the 200 and we ran up. So we'll have to see what happens here. But again, there isn't anything in the lower time frames here that has me feeling bullish. Again, I had posted this out the other day and nothing has changed. Give me one moment. I need to turn up the AC. It is freaking warm in here. Give me one moment. You know, I forgot. I was cooking. Do you guys like portobello mushrooms? So I haven't had like a good thick portobello mushroom and grilled it in a long time. So I grilled it, flipped it on its side, grilled it, and in the center there, I poured some really, really, really good. It's actually pizza sauce, but it's marinara sauce, and then put some fat-free mozzarella cheese and melted it in there. Woo-wee! That was good. Good appetizer before dinner. I had a very early dinner. Before the live stream. So, anyway, so I had the sliding glass door open, which is why it was so warm, so I closed that bad boy. Anyway, so I had posted this out. It's amazing I can even remember what I was talking about before I went away from the camera there. So, as I had posted out on this lower time frame, and again, it speaks to objective analysis, not emotions, I am bearish on the lower time frame and bullish on the macro time frame. And I'm ready to expect the unexpected, whether we see some sharp volatility to the downside, which I'm not anticipating at the moment, or some sharp volatility to the upside, which I would give a higher likelihood to because no one is expecting it, simply because of that. And Bitcoin at these moments tends to do what most people are not thinking. See the second half of 2023. We spent a great deal of time talking about that, and that kind of played out as I had expected. When am I going to start to turn bullish on the lower time frames? Well, again, objectively looking at things, this is our bottom. We come up here. We get into this area. We invalidate this lower high. We invalidate this lower high. We come down here. We bounce into this region. Now we come up here and we're fighting this area at 68. Well, now we have another higher high, a higher low, and two higher highs here, further invalidating this structure of the lower highs, right? That is when I'm going to start to become bullish on the lower time frames, but not until then. Did want to take a moment to talk about Caspa, and did want to take a moment to talk about Solana. Notice the structure of the charts and why I continue to remain bullish on both projects. Quite frankly, just looking at just the technicals alone. You can see, this is on the 3-day, and this chart's old, you can see, because I have this little indication of where I'm anticipating prices to go. But I would call this, you can define this a little bit differently. This is in relative proximity. This is all in relative proximity, and then this is so I would call this 1, I would call this 2, and I would call this 3. There have been 3 distinct moments in time with several candlesticks that have hit the 18-cent area. Now, guys, what have I said about areas of price confluence that are aggressively retested? Okay, it's actually not a sign of strength. Like when you come down to support and you hit it multiple times, it starts to become worrisome when you exceed 3 times. The likelihood is that support is going to break. Okay, it's getting weaker. Same thing with resistance. As strong as the resistance is here, the fact that we've come up like a jackhammer and cracked the foundation of the ceiling, chances are, okay, if I had to tell you which way I think price is most likely going, price is most likely entering price discovery very shortly on Caspa. Could we roll over next week and come back down here? Yeah, and it wouldn't be the end of the world because, again, unbiasedly, you have all these higher lows coming in, right? Now, what I don't want to do is roll over and come all the way back down here again. That I would not want to see. But what I would say is more than likely, because we've had these 3 separate occurrences, and a lot of these charts are, if you take a look at the weekly, which we've looked at recently, it's really starting to turn to the upside. More than likely, Caspa could be seeing new all-time highs as early as by the weekend or next week at the latest. That's what I would say, but very, very, very shortly. If we take a look at Solana, Solana's done nothing but double bottoming here. Now, what I want to see for strength to pick up here, though, I want to break this 150 area. Because, again, keep in mind, even though the double bottom is fine, what we don't want to see is a retest of this 1 in 24 area. If we get a retest for the 3rd occasion, what did I say? If you come down to support like that multiple times, once you start getting to like 3 times or more than, I should say more than, it's 3 times, more than 3 times, I'm getting a little nervous, right? About if I'm bullish on the chart, about it breaking, okay? We really need to break above this 150 area here. Once you start to break above the 150 area, keep in mind, I mean, really your resistance is right around this 190 to 200 area. Once you see Solana up at 200, we should be smashing through it, and we should be retesting areas up towards prior all-time highs at 267 pretty aggressively and pretty soon, okay? Not that there won't be some profit taking and, some shenanigans going on in the market. People, bots and algorithms taking profits and all this shit, but you get up, anything, having been here and seen what Bitcoin has done, we've melted through prior all-time highs before, but really you want to get up to the 199, 200 area. Once you start breaking that, relatively soon you should be seeing us approaching this 267 area. Solana is looking sexy AF, and of course if Solana is doing well, that's going to be good for the entire ecosystem as well. Now, again, and this gets back to James's question. James, you must have missed the entire live stream from all of last week because we assessed the top 100 coins in terms of relative strength in the altcoin market. So which we're going to get back to and pick out. I'll have to figure out how to pick out winners out of that, maybe like a 1st, 2nd, 3rd place. But clear uptrend on the Solana BTC chart. We've regained this area as price has continued to stabilize in this region. it looks like to me like this thing wants to set new all-time highs relative to Bitcoin, which is massively bullish not only for Solana and its ecosystem, but also for all of the projects that are a part of that ecosystem. Mazda Dashcam, good to see you. Well, track, as you know, it's all in the charts, my friend. So, you know what I'm most interested in seeing in the debate is, I mean, I don't know how much you guys follow stuff, and believe me, I'm not going to get political, but it is, I mean, there is so much stuff out there on Biden, and I don't even know if I need to unmute the TV. I just want to see his physical appearance and stature to see if he seems with it. Because every time you see that guy, he's so out of it. Like, he looks like he's being kept alive on fumes. So, if he looks like he's like really with it and he's got a lot of energy, either it's a body double and it's not him, or they have him hopped up on some drugs. I don't know. Either way, it's going to be very, very interesting, lively entertainment. I'm not staying up for it. Like I said, I'm going to bed early. I was up. I had to get up. Well, it was a choice. I got up much earlier this morning, so yeah. So I'm going to be going to bed earlier tonight to get some sleep. Guys, we're 30 minutes in. We don't have too much time left on the live stream. Typically, these have been 30 to 40 minutes. I wanted to see what questions you had for me. I probably spent too much time talking about Casper at the beginning of the chart. Let's take a look at the Dixie. We're going to be doing a lot of TA on Sunday. That's really going to kind of set you up for the second half of this year in terms of my thoughts. Yeah, right now we're struggling to get around this 105, 106 area. Oh, we're all the way. Okay, so we're right up at 106. We're past 105. So dollar's definitely exhibiting some strength here. So the question is, again, still expecting it to roll over, but right now, guys, I got to be honest with you. There is more strength coming into the dollar than I would have expected. Now, keep in mind, we do have these nice higher lows. We want this to go bearish, by the way. But the dollar, if you're bullish on it, has these nice higher lows coming in. But we still, again, I just like to keep this stupid simple. Since we bounced here, we got a low, a high. We have all these higher lows coming in, but we have lower highs, right? And we're facing resistance. So it's going to be very interesting to see if this eventually rolls over like I expect, or we get some strength going into the second half of the year that I wasn't anticipating. Well, again, allow the charts to speak to us and tell us what is most likely. It should tell you on a day when the dollar, oh, it's actually having a down day. But you can see there's a general uptrend in the DXY here. And notice the strength in altcoins, okay, over the past couple days, despite the downwards movement in Bitcoin. I think one of the things that a lot of people lose when they're following the markets is they say, oh, okay, so the DXY and crypto have an inverse relationship. No, I understand what you're saying. So if I see the DXI, the Dixie, the dollar index up one day, then I should expect crypto to be down that day and vice versa. And that's not true. That's not a true statement. Having an inverse relationship does not imply that the daily or even weekly movements at times will translate, or what is the word I'm trying to search for here? It doesn't imply that the price action on a daily or weekly or a specified time frame will mirror what you're saying, that they're going to be completely polar opposites of one another. In generalities, they have an inverse relationship, and that will play out over time, but there can be days where the dollar is exhibiting strength and assets are exhibiting strength and vice versa, and they both could be going down. But the general price movements have an inverse relationship, right? What else? Solana, you can see how much green. I mean, everything, a lot of green in the market. That's odd. Pepe's down and everything else is up. Meme coins, still going to be a very strong narrative. You can see most of them. I mean, Fetch AI has been having a hell of a run, so not surprised to see it down. You can see most of these projects are in the green. No comment. So I mean, most of the market's green. We'll have to kind of see how the week finishes off. As well as the month. Trying to see if there's anything interesting to talk about here, to be honest, if there's no TA questions. Not really. Anybody have any quick questions for me before we say bid each other adieu? And Sunday, it will be a chart extravaganza with taking a look at all of the closes that I've already discussed. So much to come there. Oh man, didn't we just look at this, my friend? We'll take a quick look and then we're going to call it a day. I think we just looked at this. Don't tell me this is the no-no zone. I mean, we just covered a chart that was in the no-no zone. Casper is in the no-no zone. Please, Juan, tell me this is not the no-no zone. Didn't we just look at this? Okay, this is not the no-no zone. Okay. I thought this was... I forget what was the chart that was in the no-no zone. I forget what we looked at the other day. So, this is a great example of... Oh, RVF. This is a great example of... let me make sure I articulate this correctly. So, clearly we're in a massive downtrend, right? Let's get this off. This is too... Okay. Clearly we're in a massive downtrend, right? We broke the downtrend here and now have re-entered it. You know, another way you could look at this, actually, now that I'm looking at this, could actually... No, that doesn't work out. No. Never mind. So, you can see we're in this downtrend. We break out from the downtrend. Now, if the chart is bullish, we often like to come down. We like to backtest the once descending line of resistance, treat it as support, treat it as a springboard that provides price stabilization. It doesn't necessarily mean we go straight up, but at least we have some stabilization before we continue moving up. But what this chart tells you is that's not a certainty just because we broke resistance. There is a probability we re-enter the pattern, which is bearish. Now, sometimes you can get a little bit of a deviation. We always talk about range deviations. You get a little bit of a fake out. I wouldn't have been overly concerned if we had bottomed right in this area because of the price confluence shown to the left, and then we came out of it. That wouldn't be so bad, really. I wouldn't be overly concerned about that. But the reason I am concerned about this chart, and it sounds like Juan is as well, is because, yeah, it doesn't really matter how you, I mean, you can draw this, I mean, I guess you could draw it like that, really. You could draw it like that. So the way I had this originally drawn, a couple ways to interpret this one. Either way, it's not very bullish what it's doing right now. Let me just be clear about that. You can draw this descending line a couple different ways. Notice how I had it originally drawn. Okay, we have a couple touches. We re-entered it. Now keep in mind, when we draw the descending line of resistance, it can go through all sorts of price wicks. It can't intersect bodies, okay? So if I draw it like this, we've got more price confluence. Technically, we did break out. You can see we broke out, we back tested here, and now we've come all the way back down to back test. So there is actually a valid view, Juan. There is a valid view on this chart and a valid point to be made, even though the pullback has not been as strong as something we would ideally want to see in the chart, that we are retesting the descending resistance. See all the price wicks here. We're retesting the descending resistance, and now it's acting as support. So this is not a chart I would find particularly bullish, But if I was holding it, if I was invested in this, I would want to see this line. This is really kind of my line in the sand. If we start to break down below here and then we start coming down towards 2 cents, like we're at 2.3. So if we start coming down 2, I would be nervous that we're going to start coming down towards 1.5, right? If you're going to, some people would look at this and say, well, I believe in this project, and if we go below here, I just think because of what I hope for and my fundamentals, I'm going to buy anything in here, and you'd be an idiot not to. Okay, but that's an emotion, right? And one thing I have learned from being invested in this market with my own real money, the worst thing you can do is try to catch a falling knife. This could turn out to be a really wise purchase decision by just buying this thing as it's falling, okay? Or it could be a really stupid decision because we could bleed to death. You're not basing your decision on anything objective. It's subjective. Just make sure, Juan, at the end of the day, whatever decisions you make, it's based on objective information, objective, measurable information. So right now what I would say is this thing is clinging on to support right here. I don't want to see us start to break down towards 2 cents. Sorry, Jake, you are coming in last minute with a question here. But because I went on a little bit of a rant on Casper there, I think it was that guy's response that really got to me, where I was just like, man, like sometimes I feel like I'm tweeting with like 25-year-old kids who live in their parents' basement playing like fucking World of Warcraft all day. So, you know, it's funny. I'll chart Rio. You know, it's funny. I was just looking at this actually. So we haven't charted this one in a while. You can see because of the red areas of resistance here, Rio looks fantastic. Fantastic. So if we go, I want to go to a 2-week. I really want to condense price action. This is going to be a super quick analysis because I need to jet after this. But we're going to flip all of this green, okay? For everyone who's in Rio, which I considered establishing a position myself, it's just at this point I don't want to spread my portfolio too thin. I'm diversified enough. My portfolio is diversified. You know, Caspa is my largest altcoin holding, but just because I'm super bullish on Caspa, being a maximalist of any one project, well, maximalist in itself means one project. Being a maximalist, in my opinion, I've always said this, is ignorance, and it's never a good idea. Never a good idea. You've got to be diversified to some degree, even if you only hold 2 assets or 3 assets. That's fine. You don't want to also be over-diversified. I think you can be over-diversified and have 20 tokens. I don't think that's a good thing, personally. Okay, so here's this red area of resistance here. I don't want to overcomplicate the chart, so we're just going to keep it real simple and say those are the main zones. Sort of finding support right here, which makes sense. So right now, I mean, honestly, all we've been doing is building higher highs and higher lows. You can look at this as a stair-step function up, okay? So I have no reason to believe that stair-step function up in price won't continue. And anything around $1 to me, or even $1, anything in the low dollar range, $1.15, $1.10, $1.20, $1.05, anything close to $1 would be an excellent buy in my opinion at current levels. It just looks like we want to kind of chop in here for a bit. And honestly, if I was looking to increase never financial advice, if I was looking to increase my position size or establish a position, I'd be patient, okay? And it depends on your risk tolerance level. Maybe, let's say you have $1,000. Maybe you take $300 today and you put it in. and then you hold the other $333, and then you hold the other $666, $667, and you wait to be patient and put in some buy limit orders closer to this area, closer to $1, $1.10, $1.05, you know. I mean, these are very volatile assets. Even if the market is bullish, you oftentimes get a capitulation wick that comes down here. I would be patient. I would scale into this, recognizing even down here at 65 cents, you could get a wick below $1 there. Dollar's a major psychological level, is a major psychological level on any chart. And so if you do want to, let's say, buy at $1, definitely set your buy limit orders above $1. Front run the bots, algorithms, and everyone who wants to buy at $1. Set it at $1.03. Okay, but chart's looking fantastic, guys. We're gonna call it a day. I will be back here on Sunday. Make sure you hit the bell icon for all notifications. Thank you so much for showing up, and thank you for Nick. For being polite and respectful, unlike the other guy who replied. It is healthy to agree to disagree at points, and I think that's great. So until next time, everybody, let's all spread awareness. Let's carry the education forward. Take care, guys.